If you're not making money in the second half of MLB season, you're missing out on the easiest money of the year. In this video, I'm going to show you one of the bets that you can use this second half of the MLB season to actually print money. So let's go over to the whiteboard so I can show you guys exactly how to get that done. If you guys want to fast forward through all of this and you just want me to give you the answers and show you exactly what you need to do day in and day out to be profitable, all you got to do is click the link in the description and you'd work with me. Copy and paste, learn how to do it, and next thing you know, you're profiting. All you got to do is click the link in the description. All right, so it's the second half of the MLB season. Let's go ahead and discuss a strategy that I like to use year in and year out that absolutely crushes it. Now, it's going to involve the pitchers. All right, what you're going to be looking at is you're going to be looking at the prop play for the pitchers to either go under 2.5 earned runs or over 1.5 earned runs. Okay, so what this means is pretty much for the under, they just can't give up 3. If they give up 3, you end up losing. And for the over, if they give up 2, you end up winning. So this is a key thing that you want to look for when it comes to the MLB pitcher props. So what you want to do is for the under 2.5, you're going to find this at pretty much any major sports book. You're going to find both of these plays at, okay? But there are few plays that happen sometimes at ESPN Bet and at Bet365 that I've noticed that this under 2.5 will only be available at those sports books and not available anywhere else. Okay, and sometimes you can exploit that really in your favor. So keep an eye out for that. That is something that you might want to write down that I just said, because it could be very important. It could come into play a lot of the times. So when you're looking for an under 2.5 earned runs pitcher, what you're looking for is you want the probability percentage to be at least 70% or higher. Okay, that's going to obviously give you the best true probability to implied probability ratio. That's going to give you the best right off the bat. Then what you want is you want the team that they are going against, that pitcher is pitching against, to be bottom 5 in average and also bottom 5 in home runs. If they're in both those categories, what does that mean? That means now that pitcher is going against a team that doesn't hit well and can't hit the long ball well either. So that is a huge opportunity for them to be able to have a decent outing and not get rocked or have one pitch where there's 3 men on base and it turns into a 3-run homer. So that kind of cancels that out. That's why you want to make sure that you're looking for those type of matchups between the pitcher and the team. The team needs to be bottom 5 in average and bottom 5 in home runs that they hit. If those two line up, guess what? We might have a good shot at that pitcher going under 2.5 earned runs. But of course, like I said, make sure the probability percentage of the true probability compares to the implied probability, and that still gives you an advantage as well. Now let's jump over to the over 1.5. So the over 1.5 is pretty much the opposite, obviously, of your under 2.5. What you're looking for here is a matchup where the probability percentage, again, true probability percentage is 70% and above compared to implied probability, and you have yourself an edge, along with the top 5 home run teams and the top 5 in average. Okay, so if this pitcher is going against a team that is top 5 in home runs and top 5 in average, there's a good probability there, and again, you have to verify that with your true probability, that he might give up 2 runs, maybe even more. Because if you're going against a team that hits well and they hit the long ball well, one swing of the bat could literally score 2 runs or more. So he could be vulnerable to go over that 1.5 earned runs. Now, another thing I do want to mention here that you guys have to pay attention to as well is sometimes for both these props, a pitcher will allow somebody to come on base, but it'll be through an error. If it's a shortstop error, second base error, first base error, and that person comes around to score, necessarily doesn't mean it's an earned run. Because I've seen sometimes people, like, we'll have this bet right here, the under 2.5 earned runs, and the pitcher will end up giving up 3 runs, but only 2 of those ended up being earned because one of them was because of an error. So pay attention to that, because sometimes people get mad and think they lost a bet sometimes here, and guess what? It's actually, they didn't give up an earned run, they just gave up an overall run. There's a difference between the two. Same thing with the over. That doesn't come into too much account with the over because, you know, it doesn't, that hurts you actually if there's an error and somebody comes around and score, because you're looking for the over. You're looking for them to rack up those earned runs rather than to be under. But once again, the two player props that you're looking for the pitcher in the second half of the MLB season. And the reason why this is so lucrative in the second half is because now we have a full first half of data of the pitchers, of how those pitchers have pitched. So now we can actually work off of that. Rather than the beginning of the season, you got to take in the prior season stuff, and sometimes it just doesn't gel right off the bat. Now you do. You have a whole first half of data for the MLB pitchers. So again, you're under 2.5 earned runs. Make sure that they are going against a team that's bottom 5 in home runs, bottom 5 in the average. Over 1.5, make sure they're top 5 in home runs, top 5 in average. All that's going to do is just boost your probability. Okay? That's all those are going to do. Boost your probability. And then again, make sure you got the true probability here being 70% and above for both. Because your implied probability on these, average-wise, odds, usually under 2.5, range from anywhere from minus 180 to sometimes minus 260. And then for the over 1.5, those range sometimes from minus 200 up to about minus 300. So it really depends what you're looking at for implied probability versus the true probability to give yourself an edge there. Okay? And like I said, make sure you guys go look inside your sportsbook to make sure they offer this. Multiple sportsbooks offer these options, but you have to go under the pitcher props and look at earned runs allowed for the pitcher. One more thing that I wanted to discuss as well, because I found it interesting that we've been able to track this for the last 5 years, and this happens with the MLB. The week before the All-Star break, hitter props, when you're betting a player to get a hit, they go ice cold, literally the 1 week right before the All-Star break. This has happened consistently for years on end now. And I don't really know why. Maybe it's because they just feel, some of the hitters are just a little bit lackadaisical and are like, I want to get to the All-Star break. I want to take a little break here, whatnot. So you get that feeling when you're at work and your vacation is 1 day away. You don't really feel like doing much at work, right? Because you're like, I'm getting my vacation. I feel like maybe they're doing the same thing there. But this has become something that I think you guys need to jot down and see, because I've tracked it for years on end here, and it seems about the week before the All-Star break, the hitter props go a bit cold. So there actually might be value on the opposite side there. Now, I'm not saying go and bet the opposite side for them not to get a hit on certain players, but just saying that there could be some opportunity there to flip the script a week before All-Star break. Now, make sure you guys click the link in the description if you want to work with me and you want me to show you one-on-one exactly how to get all of that done and a profit month in and month out. And remember, every investment is a winning opportunity when you have an edge. I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.